What's up, guys? It's Eric from Rare Candy, and welcome back to another recorded tournament series. This time it's going to be a League Cup that took place in our hometown of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And so for this event, it was a standard format tournament, so that means cards all the way from Primal Clash up to the recent Guardians Rising set were legal for play. And so this is going to be our top 8 match. There is also a top 4 and a finals match coming up, so definitely stay tuned for those. But like I said, this is the top 8 match. On the left, we're going to have Brandon Meesemer. He's going to be playing a Vespiquen deck. And then on the right, we have Aiden Swanton, who's going to be playing Tapu Koko GX. So definitely, I guess, an interesting matchup on paper. I feel like, in my head, the way this is going to go is very similar to the way Vespiquen's Turbo Dark matchup would go. I would say it's generally 50-50 since the Koko player, much like the Darkrai player of the previous format, can take a knockout usually every turn. And then it's going to take Vespiquen a couple turns in order to get set up enough to start taking one knockout. So I foresee this being kind of 50-50-ish. I know that Aiden does also play the Oricorio from Guardians Rising, the one that is kind of hyped as a Vespiquen, killer tech that does damage counters based on the number of Pokemon in your opponent's discard. So that could potentially come into play at some point. That might, tilt the match in his favor a little bit. But Aiden, I know, also plays, of course, the Aether Paradise Conservation Area, which will reduce Brandon's damage. So we'll have to see if that will help him survive a Bee Revenge. So yeah, I think those are probably the most relevant cards that I can think of, that I know of, that are in both players' decks. Beyond that, I think both decks just are going to kind of have to operate like normal. One other card that could potentially be of use, I'm not sure if Aiden plays it, is actually the Raikou from Breakthrough. That could potentially be a decent one-prize attacker to tilt the game in his favor at some point, so maybe that's an option. He does play the Tapu Koko promo, so maybe he can go aggro with that. We'll have to go see. And here he actually does start with the Tapu Koko promo. And it looks like Brandon's going to get to go first. He's opening with a Combi. I'm sure that's what he likes to see. And he's going to play Tapu Lele GX to get a supporter out of his deck. And it looks like he's eyeing down an N. Since he probably didn't want to Sycamore away all the stuff he had in his hand. That seems okay. He definitely wants to get some Pokemon in his discard pile, though. So for you guys who are unfamiliar with Vespiquen back from Ancient Origins, has this really good attack called Bee Revenge, where it does 20 plus 10 more for every Pokemon that's in your discard pile. So that's going to be pretty much what Brandon is going to be aiming to do in these early turns, just trying to put as much in the discard pile as possible while getting set up. And unfortunately, kind of a bad turn for him. I hate to say, he didn't get any Pokemon in the discard pile. He had to get rid of a DCE. But let's see. Let's see what Aiden's going to opt to grab here. I see a Jolteon EX on the top of his deck. And looks like he is going to be eyeing that down. I'm not a big fan of that card, though, just because it doesn't really do too much in this matchup. It will stop damage from Tapu Lele GX, of course, but Flash Ray is just not a very good attack. But maybe he just wants it on the board as a max elixir target for his Tapu Koko at some point. Okay, and here Brandon is going to opt to N yet again. So definitely not very exciting first turns from either player. But, Brandon's deck is definitely designed to go kind of fast. So I would imagine maybe after this N, we could see him, grab an Ultra Ball or some more Acrobikes and set up a little bit more. Okay, so he does have a couple things to work with. He has another Vespiquen, has his Oranguru, has a Floatstone, and okay, he's going to play down a Shaman EX to draw until he has 6 cards. And he does hit that double Carlos energy, so I'm sure he is excited for that. But here we're going to see, it looks like a Energy Drive from Tapu Lele, 20 times the number of energy on both active Pokemon, so that's going to do 60 in total to this Tapu Koko. Okay, so he's going to get down his Aether Paradise Conservation Area. So that's going to reduce the damage done to basic grass and lightning Pokemon. So he's going to try to tank hits a little bit easier with this. Okay, but here he's also going to bench a Voltorb. And here I'm actually not sure how I feel about this play. Basically against this Vespiquen deck, if you want to win, you're going to have to force your opponent taking an odd number of prizes. So I mean by that is if your opponent knocks out this Tapu Koko and then you knock out your Electrode, they only have to knock out 2 more GXs or EXs to win the game. So if you're going to play these non-EXs or non-GXs, you really need to play 1 or 3. So Aiden, I think, is free to bench a Voltorb at another point in the game, or potentially that Oricorio that I believe he does play in his list. But anyway, so Brandon's going to keep on digging through his deck here. Okay, he's going to Ultra Ball away a Klefki and an Ultra Ball. So he's starting to get a little bit more set up. And looks like he's going to grab a Zorua. Okay, it looks like he's eyeing down an Eevee actually. Okay. So does he have anything else he can do? Here he's just going to do Energy Drive to take a knockout with his Tapu Koko GX. And so Aiden's going to promote that Jolteon since it does have free retreat. And here the Oricorio is going to hit the board, but I don't think Brandon has that many Pokemon in the discard pile. Oh, so it looks like he was thinking about playing Sycamore, so that would explain why he benched it. Because normally you want to save your Oricorio to kind of catch your opponent off guard once they've put in a lot of Pokemon from, into their discard. And here Aiden has a Super Rod, and if I was going to say if I'm him, I actually kind of want to see that get saved for once this Oricorio gets knocked out. I think that's going to be very important. But I'm not sure his list. He might play Rescue Stretcher or additional forms of recovery as well. But I think keeping that Oricorio around is going to be important, potentially in the late game. So we'll see though. Here he's going to get an energy attachment. And fortunately, he just is going to do a Swift. So Aiden's definitely not having the best setup. Normally this Tapu Koko deck is pretty fast, but every once in a while, that's just how it goes. You sometimes just hit a, rough spot and your deck, craps out on you. But here, Brandon is going to play an N, refresh both players' hands yet again. So I think Brandon is in a pretty good spot. He just needs to get some more Pokemon in the discard. I'm not sure how many he has in there. I know it's a handful, but it's not enough to knock out a Jolteon EX, though. Okay, so he drew a bunch of Pokemon, and here he's just going to do Energy Drive to do 60 damage to this Jolteon. Okay, and so let's see what Aiden is going to opt to do. I think he has an Electrode in hand. Okay, so he has an Ultra Ball as well. He will be able to actually get out a Tapu Koko fully powered up this turn if need be. So here he's going to attach for turn to the Oricorio. And here he is going to use Electrode's ability to knock itself out, but he gets to attach it as a double lightning energy to one of his lightning Pokemon. So it's going to put Brandon down to 4 prizes. And okay, it looks like he's thinking about a Pokemon fan club here. Interesting. So I'm not sure how I feel about this because he could Ultra Ball or fan club for a Tapu Koko and actually could have taken a knockout. So I definitely think this might have been a misplay on Aiden's part, or maybe there's something that I'm not sure. Maybe he's prized all of his Kokos. I'm not sure, but I definitely feel like that's a bit of a misplay here. But anyways, Brandon is going to Sycamore, get himself a fresh hand, and it looks like he is going to be able to get rid of a ton of Pokemon. So he's going to get that Acrobike. Okay, and he has an Ultra Ball, so he can discard some more. He's going to promote this Vespiquen that has a Choice Band. And it looks like he has, 7 Pokemon to discard? I think that's what his dice are accounting. So then the 20 base damage, it's 90 plus the 30 from Choice Band. And here, I think Brandon forgot to calculate for this Aether Paradise conservation area. So, and he had the Ultra Ball, I think, to actually get a knockout here. So this Jolteon is just clinging on for dear life at this point, and it is actually going to be able to take a knockout here on this Vespiquen. But on the plus side, due to, I guess, Brandon miscalculating, that will give Aiden an out to getting his Tapu Koko in play. So okay, so he does have the Tapu Koko. Again, I'm a little curious why he did not grab it last turn, but nevertheless, it did end up paying off here. He got a little lucky that Jolteon staying alive, so that is going to mean he's going to be able to keep his energy in play. So for you guys who are unfamiliar with Tapu Koko GX, it has this Arrow Trail ability. Whenever you bench it, you can basically make it your active Pokemon and get any of the lightning energy attached to your other Pokemon attached to it. So he's going to Ultra Ball away looks like a Lele and a Ranger, and here he's going for a Voltorb, but honestly I do not like that play, because now that is going to create an out for Brandon to take an even amount of prize cards. So ideally, I think that Oricorio on the bench probably should have been the last of his odd prizes he would force Brandon to take. But here he is going to Sky High Claws, I believe that's the name of Tapu Koko's attack. Does 130 damage, and he gets to just knock out one of Brandon's Pokemon. So he is trying to catch up a little bit here, and Brandon's going to play a special charge, getting 2 double Carlos energy back into his deck. Okay, so let's see what else. He has an Ultra Ball, so he is going to be able to get rid of quite a few Pokemon here. So he's going to Ultra Ball away that Unknown and Flareon, maybe grab himself another Combee potentially. Okay, so he's going to grab Combee, and let's see, he can also Sycamore away this Unknown. What I maybe would have liked to see is bench the Unknown, use its ability, and then bench the Combee, but I think it's not going to be a big deal here. Okay, so he is actually going to Lysander instead, taking out this Oricorio. So he's going to use Zoroark to take a knockout here. That seems okay to me. Since that Oricorio, can kind of put in some work in the late game against this Vespiquen deck, now that Brandon has a good bit of Pokemon in the discard pile. So here he's just going to do another Sky High Claws to take a knockout on Zoroark, but here things are getting a little scary because Vespiquen is, I believe, hitting for 150, 180 actually, with a choice band. And especially once Brandon is able to bump this stadium, he's going to be able to take a knockout. So this is going to be a little bit problematic. I believe the stadium reduces the damage by 30, so he effectively needs to do 200. Okay, so he's going to use Farewell Letter again. Here Brandon's counting how many cards he has left in his deck. He has to be careful about how much he's going to Sycamore, but here he is going to Sycamore, and I think he actually has enough Pokemon in the discard pile now to take a knockout with Vespiquen. Okay, so it looks like he has, what is that, 15 Pokemon in the discard, plus the 20 base damage, so that's 170, plus the 30 from Choice Band, so he should be good to take a knockout here. And now Aiden's in odd spot. He can't Electrode anymore. He is going to attach a Lightning Energy. Okay, so if he can set up another Koko and maybe N, that might give him a shot at coming back into this game. Brandon does have that Oranguru in play that will allow him to draw out of an N, but I think that's his only shot right now. So here he's going to Max Elixir, and he does hit the Lightning Energy, so he is getting closer in order to taking a knockout with Koko. Some of the pieces he still needs, but it is possible. Okay, so I think he actually has a Koko in hand, if I'm not mistaken. He does still need another energy to make this happen, though. And I'm not sure how many Max Elixirs he's used, but here he's just going to Lysander and promote the Tapu Koko, and then just pass. But Brandon, of course, can just retreat his Shaman, and then just attack with his Vespiquen to get this last knockout. So Brandon actually doesn't even have a deck right now, so I guess he's just throwing some extra Pokemon in the discard just to be safe that he has the knockout here. I'm guessing. I'm trying to think what he's... I guess he's just really trying to make sure here. Maybe he's just a little paranoid. You know, he miscalculated the math on his Be Revenge earlier in the game, so he just wants to make sure he does have the game here. Okay, so he is going to do Be Revenge to take the last knockout. So Brandon is going to go, or he's going to take the first match in the series. This is best 2 out of 3 though, so Aiden still definitely has a shot to come back and take the next 2 games. He did have a little bit of a clunky start. He didn't take a knockout till kind of late in the game. But like I was saying earlier, Tapu Koko is normally a pretty consistent deck actually, and can you know, trade pretty favorably, I think, with some of these non-EX, non-GX decks. So hopefully this one goes a little bit smoother for him. But for Brandon, I mean, Vespiquen worked pretty much just like it's supposed to. He did whiff Pokemon in the discard kind of early on the first couple turns, but towards the late game, you could really see how this Vespiquen deck works. You know, once it gets much Pokemon in the discard, it's definitely very strong because Vespiquen only gives up, you know, 1 prize when it gets knocked out, but it can still take 1-hit knockouts on 2 prize attackers. So, and since Aiden did lose the last game, he does get to choose who goes first in the next one, so he is opting to go first. That seems good. He has an Aether Paradise Conservation Area, and ooh, nothing else. So not the best start. And here Brandon is going to use Tapu Lele GX to grab a Professor Sycamore out of deck. So looks like Brandon is having an okay start. He has, you know, Klefki, it looks like a Shaman, and there might have been another Pokemon in there as well, I'm not sure. Okay, so he did have 3 Pokemon he got to discard, so he's starting to get some damage in there. He's going to get a Zorua on the bench. He's going to play Acrobite. So he looks at the top 2 cards of his deck, picks one, discards the other. He's going to discard Unknown. Okay, and here's just going to pass. He has a good hand for next turn, so, but not too much else he really needs to play right now. So here he's going to end both players. You know, if Aiden is able to get a Max Elixir and a Tapu Koko, he could start taking knockouts here, or maybe an Electrode and Tapu Koko would work just as well too. Especially since Brandon, you know, he's getting some Pokemon in the discard, but he doesn't have enough to take a big knockout on a Tapu Koko yet. So I think it's definitely a big window of opportunity here. He really needs to hit one of those, and I don't think he was able to. Okay, and here he is going to Swift, but the Aether Paradise Conservation Area does reduce its damage. But actually, I think the Swift might still go through because it goes... I'd have to read the card, but I know it goes through effects that are on the defending Pokemon, and I think the Stadium would count as an effect on the defending Pokemon. So I actually think, without reading the card, I don't have the text in front of me, I think he actually should have taken 30. But Vespiquen has so little hit points to begin with, it's probably not going to make too much of a difference either way here. So Brandon, it looks like he's getting pretty set up. He's got his Vespiquen, he's got Zoroark, he's got another Comey on the bench, ready to evolve. And so here he's going to do a Be Revenge. Looks like he did it for 80 damage. Okay, so here Aiden is going to get down a Tapu Koko and be able to knock out this Vespiquen. So here, like I said, that 30 damage didn't really make too much of a difference. And Aiden didn't really do too much that turn. He had a Skyla. If he doesn't have another draw supporter, I would have maybe considered Skyling for a Sycamore or an N for the next turn, but maybe there's something he has in mind that he might want to get. Maybe like an Ultra Ball for his next turn, to grab a new Tapu Koko. That could be a possibility as well. Okay, so here Brandon is going to get himself an Unknown, get that on his bench. So he's got, looks like 9 Pokemon to discard. He's going to play Revitalizer. It is going to get 2 back out, unfortunately. But he does need these Vespiquens to keep attacking, so this will be okay. And here he is going to play N, so both players are going to get a new hand. Aiden's going to get 5 since he has 5 prize cards, and Brandon's going to get 6 since he still has all 6 of his. But either way, I think Tapu Koko is actually safe. I don't foresee him getting a knockout this turn. And let's see. Okay, so Brandon is going to use Farewell Letter to draw a card. He's going to play Force of Giant Plants. That actually could be big here. Brandon did get a couple more Pokemon to discard, and he's going to Ultra Ball. Looks like getting rid of an Eevee and an N. Okay. So let's see what he's going to opt to grab here. Maybe a Shaman EX. Okay, so he might be digging really hard to take a knockout this turn. So it's definitely possible. He's doing, I think, 120 damage right now if he gets a double colorless energy with a choice band. That would be 150. So if he can hit DCE choice band and get 2 more Pokemon in the discard, he is going to be able to take a knockout. And that would actually be gigantic here, because that's going to leave Aiden without any energy in play to work with, basically. And he might actually get it. I'm not sure everything he has in his hand, but he does have an Ultra Ball and DCE. But if this is the case, okay, so it looks like he is going to do Mind Jack here. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I would have considered even Sky returning here. But I think this will definitely make sure this Koko goes down, just because we do know that Aiden does play Rough Seas in his list. So if he had just used Sky Return to kind of like ping the Koko for 30 damage, we could have seen that disappear on the next turn. Okay, so definitely it's giving Aiden a little bit of a chance to not make a comeback, but just keep preserving his energy, because now he can get another Tapu Koko in play and, you know, have a fresh attacker. So let's see what he's going to opt to do here. I do see an Ultra Ball, so he will definitely be able to get a fresh Tapu Koko. And okay, so he's going to Ultra Ball. He's going to get rid of, looks like, an N and an Ultra Ball. Okay. Okay, he's going to grab another Tapu Koko. It seems good. If he can hit an Aether Paradise Conservation Area, that would actually be really big here as well. Because he's going to put 2 more Pokemon in the discard. That's going to bump Brand's damage up to 140 right now, 170 with a Choice Band. So, okay, now he's hitting for 180. Okay, and what is Brandon going to opt to do here? He does have a Versus Seeker. He could end here, he could Sycamore. And I'm not sure how many cards Aiden has in hand, but if he has more than 4, we might see an end here. But it looks like he's just going to Sycamore. I think that's fine. He only had the Force of Giant Plants and Ultra Ball in there anyways. Okay, so we did get the double colorless energy. Does he have a Choice Band? And I do not see one in his hand. That would have been really big, though. Because I don't think he actually has enough in his discard pile to take a knockout. I think he's only hitting for 150 right now. Okay, so we are going to see 150. But here, this is another situation where I would have maybe even liked risking the Shaman play. I think Aiden only runs 1 Rough Seas in his list, or I think it's a low count at least. But here it looks like Aiden's going to put down a Lightning Energy on Jolteon, and here I'm actually not a big fan of this. I would probably prefer the other Tapu Koko. Spread your energy out a little bit, and also Tapu Koko, if you manage to power that one up again, it is definitely a better attacker than the Jolteon. And here he had a Max Luxor and he did not play that. I'm also curious of that as well. Maybe he's trying to save some energy to potentially attack with Oricorio at some point. I'm not sure. Okay, so he is going to take a knockout here with Sky High Claws. And Brandon is going to be able to, I believe, take a knockout here, just using Mind Jack with Zoroark. And I think Aiden actually had Aether Paradise. So maybe he could have benched that, or not benched it, but put that in play. That might have helped as well. I'm not sure how much damage he had on him, so it might not have made a difference either way, but okay. But he definitely has some options here. He has a huge hand, it looks like. So he's going to bench the... Okay, he's going to bench the baby Tapu Koko. He's going to play Max Elixir, failing the Max Elixir. Okay, and what else does he have here? He's going to attach a Lightning Energy to it, and he's going to Energy Switch 1 to... Okay. However, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I still think just trying to get a Tapu Koko is what you need to do here. He really needs to Sycamore. Okay, so he is going to Sycamore here. And what does he have? And here he's just going to use, I believe it's Flying Flip, do 20 to each of Brandon's Pokemon. So let's see what Brandon is going to opt to do. He does have Acrobike, he has Rescue Stretcher, he has Vespiquen, so he definitely has a couple of options here. Okay, let's see. Maybe he's going to eye down some stuff in his discard to potentially shuffle back in with a Rescue Stretcher. I'm not sure. Here he's going to Lysander the Jolteon EX. I definitely like this as well, just because that is going to take away 3 energy on Brandon's field. So that will force him, if he wants to attack with a Tapu Koko GX at some point, he will have to knock out this Electrode as well, which could be good for Brandon. Okay, and he actually has the Oricorio in hand. That's super important right here. He definitely needs an energy, because once he drops that Oricorio, he will be able to jump back into this prize race a little bit. So that's what I think he really needs to do this turn. He needs that and an energy. Okay, so he's going to Tapu Lele GX. And he does have energy left in his deck. He could potentially grab Skyward to get Max Elixir. His deck is pretty thin. I think he had 3 energy left. He has okay odds of hitting it, so it's a little risky, but I think that's an option. But here he's going to go for the Sycamore. He really wants to make sure he hits this energy. I'm assuming for Oricorio. So I think we'll probably see that hit the board at some point here as well. Okay, nice. So he is going to bench that. Here he's going to Rescue Stretcher. So maybe put some Tapu Kokos back in the deck. So, okay, a Tapu Koko, a Jolteon, and a Voltorb. Unfortunately, this will hurt his odds of drawing into an energy, but I think he still has okay odds of it. Okay, so he's going to shuffle up probably before playing that Professor Sycamore. Okay, and he is going to play it. So does he get an energy? He does not, but he does have Max Elixir, so he can still get this Oricorio powered up. Or I think he drew Max Elixir at least. Oh, maybe he did not. But here he just has to Flying Flip. So unfortunately, a big missed opportunity. I think that would have actually been very game-changing. So now Brandon can just Lysander up this Tapu Koko and take his last 2 prizes. So very unfortunate for Aiden. He almost, he almost had that one. But that's just how it goes sometimes, guys. But anyways, so Brandon is going to advance on to the top 4 match. So definitely expect to see him later. But definitely a fun match to watch. Happy to see people playing Tapu Koko and other decks that that don't pop up quite as often as some of these others. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching this one. As usual, feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out our merchandise over at rarecandytcg.com. If you can pick up something to help support the channel, it'd mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.